All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be video number 3 in this series. So far, we have talked about how money works, how it was created, what's the history of money. Then we talked about what is going on, what's the next step with all of the rising U.S. national debt and interest rates, probably going to rise really soon here. What is the long-term plan? And the reality is there really doesn't seem to be one. The only thing, the stage looks like it's being set for a complete financial overhaul and reset. That's what's coming to the financial markets. A lot of people are calling it the fourth industrial revolution, but the financial system is about to get an overhaul, just like we've seen in education, just like we've seen within medicine and within cars and automotives. The same thing is about to come to the realm of finance and its digitization, let's say. And so why is everything turning digital? What created cryptocurrency? How does it work? Is it a physical coin? Is it digital? So I was thinking maybe I should really take a step back, because sometimes you see images on the internet where it's got a little token and it has like a B on it for Bitcoin, or a little token has like a little diamond. That's just for show. All of this is just in the digital. It's ones and zeros, and it's normally on your computer, on your phone. You can store cryptocurrency just in a physical, people call it like a paper wallet. And so there's a way to send your currency to an address, but boy, oh boy, you got to be careful with that. Don't lose that piece of paper. Don't lose your codes to get access to it. Otherwise, it could be gone forever. Anyways, just like if you put, money in the ground and you disappeared one day, that money is gone. So let's talk about where cryptocurrency kind of came from. What kind of kicked all of this off? And so the one everybody always talks about is Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. And it's got such a mysterious start. Honestly, it just kind of developed on like a message board maybe 10 years ago. And is this whole white paper on how to digitize money and to move away from things like banks and central banks, just because it's so easy to, like we talked about with the Fed, just print more and more and more money. It's not regulated at all. And so us, as the little guy, the consumers, the value of our dollars go down and down and down because of all this unregulated spending. And so there's a white paper that got put out a long time ago. It says, what if we made a digital currency? And what if instead of only a handful of people having like a handful of bankers knowing how much money is going where, and them telling us what we can and can't do with our money. Like, try to go to the bank and withdraw more than $10,000. Good luck. You got to fill out a bunch of forms, or what are you doing with this money? Or, hey, where did all this money come from? Where'd you get it from? Got to answer a bunch of questions, because they're worried, hey, you're laundering money, or you're getting this from like nefarious reasons, or it's, they're just trying to check it out. And so, but that raises a question of, why is it none of your business? If it's my money, why is it your business? So out of this, there was this white paper that got put out and said, what if we created a distributed ledger? What if you and I could own a computer that kept track of the entire digital exchange? It would be anonymous, okay? That I wouldn't know your name, you wouldn't know my name. It would just be like a digital ID, and I could never track it to a physical person. And not only that, would one person have that ledger, but we could all have it. We could all have a copy of it in real time. And so that's really the inception. It's like the short version of kind of the idea of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And so years ago, this all started. People started, they said, okay, let's do this white paper. Nobody knows who put the white paper out. Nobody knows who actually created the first amount of Bitcoin. And the cool thing about Bitcoin and a lot of these not all of them, but a lot of these cryptocurrencies, there's a fixed amount. So that means you can never make more of them, which is the reason why it continues to go up in the market today. So years ago, when there was no demand for it, you could get Bitcoin for, 15 cents, 20 cents, and you just store it. But now, because there's so much demand for it, it's so popular, you're hearing more and more about it, the demand has gone up and there's only a fixed amount. And so right now, at the time of this recording, it's around $62,000, $63,000, all-time high. It's very volatile, right? It could go back down. It relates to demand. So if people pull their money out, well, the price goes down. At this point, it does have a lot of mainstream adoption. There are big companies investing a large segments of their portfolios into Bitcoin. They did that a little while ago, back when it was around 20,000, and now it's up. So not to say they can't take gains and take profits, but that volatility, I don't know if we're ever going to see $4,000 or $5,000 again, but it does have big swings. And so there's a lot of projections, just so you know, that it's about to correct very soon here at an all-time high. We could see it drop as low as, 20, 25, 30, 40, somewhere in there. Just, you always got to go to that last tier it was at. And if it misses that one, well, it's probably going to go to the next one. So it's really no different than stocks in some ways. It's kind of like a commodity. And I have a video, I don't know if it's queued up right now in here, but Jerome Powell is the chair of the Fed. He looks at it more as a commodity, like it compares to gold, than it does to the US dollar. And so they're not too concerned that the Bitcoin itself threatens the US dollar, but that it's like a store of value. It's essentially a brand and a store of value. And it has its own constraints too. So these are the types of things I want to talk about in this video. What we saw happen with Bitcoin, it led to other cryptocurrencies built on a framework called blockchain. And so when we talk about, everybody having a copy of who's done what on a distributed ledger is what they call it, that idea was built upon. And so there's a lot of implications for that, for security, just for file storage. Doesn't even have to be a cryptocurrency. All sorts of stuff, like different redundancies. So blockchain is very interesting. We're going to look at that in this video. And then out of Bitcoin and that whole concept came other things, like a coin called Ethereum. You have other coins that really they're created to meet different demands within the community. So right now within the cryptocurrency realm, and really back in 2018, it was a lot, and still kind of is, a little bit like the .com era, where everybody was coming out with a website. Well, back in 2018, a lot of people were coming out with different coins, different cryptocurrency. And so it was kind of like the wild, wild west, and you can put in some money, like $100, $200, and you have like 20,000 later on. But it was just as volatile as the .com era. And so lots of people also lost money. And so because of that, the SEC and different regulations have become more and more, it's entering into the crypto world, one of which we're going to talk about maybe in this video, maybe not in this video. I'm going to see how long it goes, but very, very interesting stuff. So what I want to do is I want to talk about the technology behind cryptocurrency, which is blockchain. And so once again, we've got our friend James Altucher, futurist, economist, just regular old guy, just breaking it down for us. And so I want to play that for you. And then I'm going to come back, and then we're going to talk about why so many different coins, why so many different digital currencies. Okay, so here we go.
Every Bitcoin has associated with it what's called a blockchain. Here's what a blockchain is. It's simply a list of all the transactions that ever occurred. So when I send money to Joe, and Joe sends money to Mary, and Mary sends money to Dave, and Dave sends money to Ellen, all of those transactions are stored on the blockchain, and the entire list keeps growing and growing. So eventually parts of the list are put on this network of computers that are spread all over the world in every single country. No one knows where they are. It's all what's called decentralized. And it's through this network of computers that we could then validate that a transaction's real. Because the way the blockchain works is that Mary can't send money to Ellen unless the blockchain says Mary at some point got the money. So what this means is, thanks to the blockchain, there is a record of every single Bitcoin transaction ever made. We can track every single piece of Bitcoin all the way back to 2009, when the very first Bitcoin transaction took place. Can I change the blockchain on my Bitcoin to look like I have a lot of money? The answer is no, because when I send money to Joe, all these computers from all over the world are checking all the transactions all the way back to the very first one. If there's an error while the computers are checking their own versions of the blockchain and the blockchain I just sent to them, then the transaction won't go through. So this prevents any kind of double spending, forgery, stealing, and so on. Okay, let's back up a second. Without blockchain technology, we rely on banks to do all of this work. Banks have middlemen take their cut, Middlemen often have middlemen, and you end up losing money. Now, the blockchain cuts out all the unnecessary steps, making transactions cheaper, faster, and less complicated and less prone to human error. Now, are you starting to see why this whole blockchain technology is a big deal? Okay, now that I've explained how blockchain.
All right. So I hope that makes a lot more sense. I tried to explain it to you as well, but like I said, James just does such a good job of really bringing it down. So even the technology of blockchain goes beyond crypto. And when it came out and it began to really, people began to take money out of, we call it right now, fiat currency, right? Out of US dollars or euros or Singapore dollars or the Chinese yuan. You take that money out of circulation. And now we're starting to put it over here into crypto. That was happening a lot in 2018 and really had a lot of governments concerned about what are the implications of this? Is this going to compete with our dollar? What's going to happen? And so, so they started looking at it, but the idea of blockchain really is great for banks as well. And they can use it in different ways to verify transactions and secure transactions. And so when we talk about why things evolve, right? We looked at that a few videos ago about the history of money. Why do things even change? And it's like, well, it changes because we're meeting a new problem. There's a new problem, and so we need a new solution. And so a lot of what we see within, like we talked about a second ago, within the financial market is a lack of transparency. Well, it's my money. Where is it going? And then why do you need to know what I'm doing with my money? That's very appealing to people like you and I, who are everyday consumers, of why we may use cryptocurrency and why we would want companies to adopt and begin to use cryptocurrency. But the problem is there's some constraints. So when you look at Bitcoin, the way Bitcoin was constructed on the network it's constructed, well, it takes almost 15 to 30 minutes for a transaction to verify. Well, good luck going to Starbucks and trying to buy something, or going to the store and trying to buy something, and you go to swipe a card and you have to wait for that transaction to process. That won't work, which is one of the reasons why Bitcoin has really turned more into a commodity than it is an everyday digital coin that you could be using. And so as a result, we've had a lot of other coins come up. Ethereum is one that's very different than Bitcoin and allows you to build different applications on top of it. It allows you to do like contracts on top of it. And so really interesting stuff that the technology allows you to do, but it's a totally different coin. And its value is probably second after Bitcoin in terms of usability. But that one right now, I think, is sitting around 2,500. Again, all-time highs right now for all of these coins. All that will probably pull back very soon. But all that to say, it's a valuable asset as well, but for a different reason. And so what I want to look at now, James is going to explain why different currencies. And then we're going to take a look at what countries are doing and central banks are doing in response to the digitization of money and how they want to utilize blockchain. Okay?
Bitcoin isn't the only digital currency. As a matter of fact, I would say there is about $200 billion worth of legitimate digital currencies right now. And why do I say legitimate? There are many other digital coins other than Bitcoin. You might have heard of Ethereum. You might have heard of Litecoin. There's over 1,000 different digital currencies. The big question is, why do we need more than one coin? Why can't we just have Bitcoin? Well, the same question could be asked about paper dollars. Why are there US dollars, and why are there Canadian dollars, and why are there Mexican pesos? Why couldn't it all be just one big currency? The answer is, with paper money, we have what's called geographic borders. The US is different than Canada, just sort of for arbitrary geographic reasons. And so we have Canadian dollars and we have US dollars. And then we have a border with Mexico, so we have Mexican pesos and American dollars. So it's just arbitrary, those borders. But with cryptocurrencies, there are what I call problem borders. So Bitcoin has some problems also. For instance, Bitcoin focuses a lot on privacy, but there are still some privacy issues. So coins like Zcash or Monero, for instance, solve some of these problems, and a problem border exists that creates a new cryptocurrency. In this case, a privacy border. There might be other types of crypto borders, like or crypto problems, like, for instance, a problem of speed of transaction, or a problem of using Bitcoin for more legal purposes. All of these problem borders create new cryptocurrencies. But most of those cryptocurrencies are either total scams or they're worthless. There will be a flush of all of those currencies. Knowing the legit currencies will create a once in a lifetime investment opportunity. You see, right now, the global market value of paper money is $200 trillion, but the global market cap of cryptocurrency is only $200 billion. I believe over the long run, cryptocurrency will, in fact, overtake paper money and reach $200 trillion in global market cap. Bitcoin and these other digital currencies will slowly overtake paper money as they solve more and more of the problems of paper money. That's how we will go from 200 billion in supply to 200 trillion in demand, which is why I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Okay, so great summary, but I want to show you something that is pretty out of date, since these are the videos, like I said, that I watched back in 2018 that really I began to hear a different thing. The Lord began to speak to me about this, that this is really the framework of where things have to go. Like when you read the Bible and it talks about the ability to buy and sell will be restricted, you look at things like that and I go, well, how will that happen? Or a mark of the beast, well, how will that happen? And we are in the stages now of that framework being laid. I mean, when they say that you're able to see the two witnesses killed instantaneously and the whole world sees it, when that was written, and even let's just say 20, 30 years ago, that would not have been able to be conceived of. Like, well, how would that happen? Well, these days, everybody's got a cell phone. It won't be long till we've got like glasses or implants or something like that, hey, in the name of convenience, I'm gonna have this done. And boom, now all of a sudden, everyone around the world sees the same thing at the same time. And so technology, I guess my point in saying that is technology is beginning to catch up with, let me go back to me. Technology is beginning to catch up with end times, revelation, biblical prophecy. And for me, that's the reasons why I look at things like this. And in the midst of seeing it happen, there's got to be a way for me to look at this and build a financial arc for my family's future in the midst of that storm. And so this is why I want to share this with you, because I want you to do your own research. I want you to go look at these videos. I want you to go look at the links that I'm sending you. And you can look at all this too. So I want to show you right now. He said it was a 200 billion total market cap right now for cryptocurrency. Currently, this is 4 years later, there's 2.19 trillion dollars within the crypto market. And this is the breakdown right now. You can go to coinmarketcap.com and you can see here's Bitcoin. Here's its total $1 trillion, just a little over that. Is currently trading within Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone. And again, these are all-time highs. This is probably going to pull back. People are going to freak out, of course. We'll have another major correction. It's going to come down. But every time it comes down, it comes back up later on. And if you're like me, when I started watching James's videos in 2018, I probably put $5,000 to $10,000 of my own money in. Well, I'm doing very well now, and I've been sure to take those profits and take those gains. So, while this is a hobby for me, and I'm a long-term investor, think of this as kind of like stock markets. I do research into each of these different coins, and I try to figure out where do I think these are going to fit in? How do I feel like these are going to progress? And he's right in saying that many of the ones from 2018, just like the dot-com bubble, were worthless. And so you put $20, $30 in there and they tank and you lose that money. But then maybe your Bitcoin goes up, maybe your Ethereum goes up, the Litecoin goes up. And so you could see this is organized, this chart, by market cap. So Ethereum is just under that. This is the one that gears more towards like contracts, business contracts, legal agreements that are executed within the blockchain in a secure way. So again, you're cutting out a lot of middlemen. Binance is a trading platform. And then there's all sorts of ones. Like the one really here that's very big in the United States is, it's IPOing. It's got an IPO tomorrow. Coinbase, that's what it is. I was going to look it up. Is Coinbase. And they're actually, they have an IPO, which would be tomorrow. I don't know when you're going to watch this, but April 14th on the stock exchange. And it's projected to open at $350, $400 per stock, and they have an evaluation, I think it was like of 100 billion is what they're projecting. But those numbers come from the stuff that James was talking about where money is going in the future, and it's transitioning from physical dollars into digital dollars. And so you should be looking at, how do I invest in that infrastructure? That's just my opinion, just not financial advice, but that's what I'm looking at. How do I invest in just the infrastructure that's being built? So like the Binance coin, every time you do a transaction on Binance, and they have different applications built on top of it, that you have to pay some Binance fee, or you're paid in a Binance a coin, and so it has intrinsic value because it's used so much. And then we have XRP, which is going to be the topic of the next video. This is a currency that has been under investigation by the SEC. It was created along the lines with Davos. It is very interesting of where I think it's going to fall in the new financial order. We'll say that. And so this is the one I want you to also be thinking about and watching. Just 6 days ago, this was 23 cents and had been 23 cents because of the investigation. You couldn't even buy it here in America. There's a lot of people that bought it in 2018, and it's actually like the antithesis of all things crypto. And if you're really into cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and distributed ledgers and things like that, like you really hate XRP because it was really made by banks for banks. And in so many ways. And so their goal, which I could share this with you, I can go back to a screen. I just don't want to make these too long. Their goal, like, so let's say you just Google, right? I just tried to Google for you, like, who made XRP? And it says Ripple is the American technology company which develops the Ripple payment protocol and exchange network, original open coin. Oh, it's not the summary I wanted. Darn it. Where'd that summary go? Anyways, they want to be the company that processes all of the new, for the central banks, they want to be like the company that processes all of the digital currency. And so I'll show you really quick. We'll just jump to it. They have a whole white paper that they put out, the future of central bank digital currencies and why central banks must take action. So they're going after this hard. They want to be the token, the coin that is used in order to process transactions between central banks and smaller banks, and then even down to us. And so it is very interesting. And they talk about the rise of central bank digital currencies. Central banks are thinking about that. Actually, there's a whole thing here where Ripple, I'll show this to you too, Ripple pilots a private ledger. So like a private, like we were talking about how we have distributed ledgers. Everybody has a record of the transactions. Well, Ripple's like, well, we'll create a private ledger for central banks that are launching their central bank digital currencies. So this is happening everywhere. And that's the interesting thing. Also, I kind of want you to get a hold of is that when central banks, regular banks, began to see how people were investing in crypto, really instead of trying to regulate it in a lot of ways, at least not yet too much, they're looking at how do I leverage the same technology, and even countries are looking to do that now. And so one of the first countries that really clued into that early on was China. And so we also have that too. I want to show this to you. So China's digital currency will be distributed using a two-tiered system to help get into the consumer brands. So China's already basically beta launching their digital dollar. And so people are using it now, places like Starbucks, McDonald's, all sorts of places over there. And it was awarded, says thousands of people have been chosen by a lottery system, allowing them to spend their digital yuan in both offline and online stores using an app, per the Wall Street Journal is what they're reporting. And so see, Starbucks and McDonald's have jumped on. And what's coming on the other side of this, and I want to show you the House Oversight video where they talked about this, where Jerome Powell, people like to call him Jay Powell, the chairman of the Fed, was talking directly about this and how America is already starting to look at a digital dollar. And what does that look like? How does it work? And lots of implications to come from that, things that you're not even thinking about. I wasn't thinking about. And so I want to play that for you in the next clip. I want to show you a little bit more about Ripple and its relation to Davos, which is a little alarming. And so just remember that, like, Ripple, it wants to be the processor for this new ecosystem. They want to be the currency that's used in the new ecosystem between central banks and countries. So in that SDR basket, like we talked about in the last video, they want to be in there. They want to convert currency. So from China to, like, probably, I mean, this is what they say they want. It's not official. This is me saying, looking at your white paper, looking at what central banks are wanting to do, the fact that it's tied in with Davos, there's a very good chance this could be the currency that's used. And knowing what the International Monetary Fund wants to do, like we talked about in the last video, of it wants to create its own currency, and most likely step the US down as the world's reserve currency. They create their own currency. That becomes the quintessential world reserve currency. And we're all exchanging within that currency. There's a good chance, based off of what's happening with Ripple, it's called XRP is its symbol, that might be the currency to be watching. And so there's a lot there. Like I said, I'll throw one more in. It is what it is if it goes a little long. But I want to show you, let's see. They've been sued by the SEC. And I want to show you that article because essentially they're, here it is, moves to dismiss. It's about to be dismissed. So they had two major victories within the last week and a half. And the SEC had sued them and basically saying investors thought that they were getting stock in XRP, which I don't know who thinks that. Everybody kind of knew, no, I'm holding a digital asset. You know, this is a cryptocurrency. I never thought I was buying stock. And so when they did that, they regulated it so badly that a lot of the exchanges where you'd be able to buy this, just like you'd buy stocks or something like that, aren't even selling it in the United States anymore, which directly impacted the price of Ripple. And so it's very interesting. And so because they got those two big court wins in the last, like, probably 5 to 6 days, it's gone from 23 cents to $1.50. I think it might be closer to $1.75 right now. And the idea is what people are predicting is that once the SEC lawsuit is dropped, which they filed today to dismiss it, that the price will go up even more. And so, like I said, I do think there's a major price correction that's coming. So just keep that in mind if you start dabbling around in cryptocurrency. And that was like me. I mean, I bought high last time in 2018 and held on to that cryptocurrency for 5 years, and now we're back here with it way up again. And like I said, you know, I think it's a lot of it has to do with supply and demand. A lot of it has to do with where we're going, and the fact that if you start to look at these articles and you start to look at what the International Monetary Fund's doing, the economic policy of the United States, where technology is going, and how a lot of these companies that are popping up and they're trying to answer problems within the market, where the financial system is going, and it will be changed. It just will be. It's, in my opinion, it's not even an if, it's just when. Will it be in the next 2 to 3 years? Will it be 2030? I really think by 2025, how we pay for things will be radically different. It's already very different. Even when you go now, I mean, thanks to COVID, right? A lot of it's like tap to pay. I don't know if you do Apple Pay, but you have tap to pay. A lot of people don't take cash anymore. They don't, especially change. You don't take coins, things like that. So there's a lot of indicators to be looking at that's saying, all right, we might be advancing in this direction. Again, just my speculation, just me trying to navigate the tea leaves here. Definitely not the Lord, but I want you to go check it out. Go research all this stuff. Tell me what you think. And then in the next video, I really want to show you things like, it's crazy, House Oversight Committee with Jerome Powell talking about how the US is about to launch a digital dollar. He talks specifically about that, and even a digital ID. That's really scary if you want to ask me. Things that would hold your vaccine passport. It's even what one congressman said. We'd have a digital ID that would hold all of those records, our financial records, our own checking accounts tied to the federal government. Really, really interesting stuff to hear. So make sure you catch the next video. All right, guys, thanks.